the people that do want it, and they're the only ones that matter. They're the only ones that I need to answer to. I don't need to answer to the industry or a perceived plan that everyone should follow, like a rollout plan. I mean, I am rolling it out day by day. Should just be no expectation to make money as an artist until you hit a certain point. There just shouldn't be. As much as that is awful, spiritually and creatively, accepting it is important. Life's good and bad, the yin and the yang. It means the highs and the lows, cool and hot, the duality of life. Life's good and bad, but at least you are alive.
Hey heroes, sorry to interrupt that podcast episode, which I hope you are enjoying, but I wanted to tell you about my clothing line, Quest Clothing. Ever since I started really pursuing YouTube and music and all these creative things that I do, I've dreamed about starting this clothing line specifically. I had the name, I had the idea like for years before I started it, and now it's finally here. You can wear clothes like this. I have sweatshirts available, t-shirts, even clothing for like my music with cover arts and lyrics and things like that. It's all super, super cool. And right now is the best way for you guys to support me across everything I do. So be sure to check out the Quest Clothing web store with the link in the description and follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates about collections, discounts, things like that. Anyways, I don't want this self-sponsorship to take too long, so let's get back to the episode. He's the most recurring guest ever on Hero's Journey. We actually have a song together called Hero's Journey, and his new album, HYPERISING, is out March 12th, which I think is today as this comes out, or the day this episode comes out. So, Chad Rising, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. As always.
Yeah, I'm always excited to have you on. We always get into I feel like deep social media and talks, or like positivity and music and all that. You're basically your whole message, essentially.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into this new album, HYPERISING, because before like talking about it with you and hearing it on the song Renegade, just looking at the name, I couldn't figure out if it was like hype rising or hyper rising. Like it had all these different sounds. Was that ambiguity like intentional, or like the double meaning kind of thing?
Well, yeah. So it comes from it's hyper pop music.
Mm-hmm.
This album. I don't call myself a hyper pop artist, but this is hyper pop album. So, and my name is Chad Rising, right? So it is meant to be clever. Hype wasn't necessarily the thing, but if you got that from it, then great. But yeah, it's HYPERISIng. It's a compound word I created. Like, it's the beginning of Chad Rising. And like it's like a hyper rising, which is like awakening. Humanity's awakening.
Yeah.
A hyperizing is an adverb maybe. Like it's I'm like hyperizing.
Yeah.
The word. It's like it's kind of
your music. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. And so like, how did the idea for this album first come about? What was it? This HYPERISIng idea, or did that come like once you had some of the songs down?
Yeah, that came once a couple of the songs were done. This all started with White Shirt. And my advisor Paul, he was like, "Why don't you make some music make music that people want to hear right now?" Cuz like, how do you want to feel in the Pivotal Days EP or album, I guess, and all the music that I made before, for better or worse, wasn't like totally current. So I was like, okay, fine. Like I'll do that. I have no problem doing that. So hyperpop is like in right now, and it just feels really good. So I did White Shirt, and then that had some really good responses, and it's kind of just rolled from there.
Yeah. I mean, hyperpop is definitely like the big thing right now. I feel like I mean, because there are the artists that are always like chart topping or having hits like Billie Eilish and whatnot, or even Sabrina Carpenter with Espresso. But like Charlie XCX and Brat in general, like I listened to it actually semi recently, I think like a month ago or so, and it had fewer streams than I thought it would, because this whole like throughout summer, the whole aesthetic, all the memes and everything were so widespread on social media that it felt like it was everywhere. And then I looked and it's like not quite competing with these other hit songs right now. And I was like, well, I mean, she got the branding part right in the marketing.
Yeah, courtesy Google. I mean, if you look into it, it looks like Google paid for that whole era, which is fine. But like, and that's uh, just some tidbit that I picked up on. I'm putting the pieces together. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, everyone hyper. She's been doing that for a long time, the hyper pop
Yeah.
thing, and it's what's a genre anymore? So
Yeah, I had a whole discussion about it because Spotify now in their metadata has over 6,000 genres, and some of them are just like adjectives and things like that, or even like actual like made up words by Spotify. Like they were talking to someone who works at Spotify, and they're like, "What is this?" And they're like, "I don't know. It's not a real word. We just made it up as like a vibe or aesthetic."
yeah, that
Yeah.
I know.
That's genre nowadays, I guess. And so starting things off with White Shirt, the process of this album, did you go into it knowing you wanted to make an album, or like what was the process from White Shirt to Hyperising?
Yeah, no, I didn't go into it thinking about an album. I am an album artist, though. I'm
Hmm.
always I'm a concept album artist where it has to tell a cohesive story whenever possible. In myself, because if you look back, like I don't want people are gonna be like, oh, well, the pivotal days, but yeah, I'm an album artist. So, but I went into this thinking, let me just try something because White Shirt is unlike anything I've ever done to that point. It was unlike anything I've ever done. And I was just kind of experimenting. I was kind of like shifting my focus, my perspective to what do I think people are thinking? It was let me get into the head of the average person or like the average person that I'm encountering online. It really was like this really is a snapshot for the most part of what I believe is going through people's minds, mostly people that are stuck on the internet, that are living through the internet, that are living through technology. So that was what White Shirt was about,
Got it.
and it had a good response. It had a great response. I mean, I've had good responses, but in the past, but it had a great response. So I was like, okay, I'll do another one, and then I did All I Want to Do. Well, I think I did a couple, but All I Want to Do was then the one that was after that, and it hooked, right? The whole real point of this album was to get the attention of people.
Hmm. Which it definitely seems to be doing.
Yeah, it's a little bit outlandish. It's not fully me, which usually I like put out work that is 100% me. I borrowed from other perspectives, other personalities that I've seen online. I from other observations, which was going out on a limb for me because I keep everything 100% like real. But everything I picked up and put into it is real. Something I would say or comment on or believe
Yeah.
has been said.
Yeah. And you're doing it in a way that you would see it or things like that. Like it's not exact copying, and it's I mean multiple people can have the same observation, and like bring it up, and so because the way they bring it up is going to be completely different. So what is kind of the overarching theme or concept of hyperizing? Is it getting, I mean, we mentioned getting attention, but is there like another meaning or deeper meaning like for the album as a whole?
I really think it came out. It's a combination of me holding up a mirror to hater culture in a serious word. Like that word is so hard to use seriously, but it does describe a very serious chunk of reality right now. So it's holding up a mirror to. Oh, actually, I have it written down. What it is. Hyperizing is a collection of messages analyzing and questioning the issues of our time, from social media and technology to spirituality and politics. But it's all of that, but through my lens, but also through the lens of the average social media internet user who has not nihilist person that's struggling to find meaning but just can't. So there's a lot of intentionally triggering abrasive stuff on it to get people's attention. I'm trying to pick up people that want to change, and you can't avoid picking up the people that don't want to change, but it still triggers them.
Yeah.
So that's the overarching thing is what is.
But at least it kind of not highlights them, but it shows who they are. Like if someone rejects it or wants to be part of this negativity, you see it and you clock it as like, okay, that person's negative online and things like that, basically.
I'm learning a whole lot about society more than I thought I would learn. And I've just started. I just started.
Yeah. So, because when I listened through the album, it seemed like a good mix of, like you said, societal songs, like showing all these problems with it, and then also a good amount of like personal stories or like deeper than I hadn't really heard you go before. So was one of those messages, and I guess the societal one seems to be the more important one or prominent one for this album, like the main theme. But what was the thought process in like combining these two messages?
Great question. So what I've learned over the last 15 years, but really in the last couple of years, in the last year, even every day it gets more crystal clear. What I'm trying to do, and we've spoken about this, is I'm trying to bring fifth dimensional concepts into a 3D form. I'm trying to bring spirituality into a consumable form for the average listener without getting scared of, without spooking them with the visual or verbal canon of spirituality, which I've been through and I come from and I live that life, my own version of it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I am combining. And that's why it's really shocking to people. That's why people think it's a joke. They either think it's a joke, well, there's many things, but like many people think it's a joke because it's just, they can't process it.
Yeah.
But then there's the people that are processing it are the ones becoming my fans quickly. But there are people that are leaving comments, they're like, you know what, this is growing on me. And that's good. That's how it's supposed to work. It's not, I don't want it, well, it's not that I don't want, it's just inherently my work is not going to be, there's a car, it's a blue car, and it's traveling this fast in this city. Like, that's what much of pop music is right now. It's very literal. And I am literal, as some people have pointed out, but the concepts are higher. The words might be literal, but the things I'm actually saying are much higher than describing a relationship or describing your problems or just, what I believe is a lot of pop music these days.
Yeah. And I think it is always important for any artist to, even if they want to kind of do that pop route, like do it differently, not the same like cookie cutter like pop sound over and over again, but like even I think when back almost a year ago at this point, that's scary, when Billie Eilish's album came out, Hit Me Hard and Soft, I was like, okay, yeah, this is all like topic wise and lyric wise could be pop songs, but like the production of it with her and Phineas is like very unique and original and a lot like darker or cooler production tricks than most pop is nowadays, which I appreciated.
Yeah, can't deny that.
And so for a while now, before the album came out, people could buy it on your website. What was the thought process of like doing this like paid pre-release almost?
Well, I know what a real plan should be. and I can follow that. But right now, there's no audience necessarily to serve. It's kind of developing. So I'm developing the plan as I go. So the plan was the plan was to get some coverage, some press coverage. I wasn't expecting it necessarily because I've done this in the past multiple times. But the press doesn't care about you until other people care about you, which I understand. I accept that. So I pushed it out long enough to be able to give myself some lead time to see if there was any press coverage that could have happened. But there wasn't any, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But the people that do want it, and they're the only ones that matter, they're the only ones that I need to answer to. I don't need to answer to the industry or a perceived plan that everyone should follow, like a rollout plan. I mean, I am rolling it out just off, day by day. So a couple people asked for it, and I was like, you know what? I could control this, so I just did it because there's no reason for me to wait. If somebody wants it, there is no real reason for me to wait, to hold it back if I can make $20.
Yeah.
So that was simply as that. I was like, okay, I can put the files up, charge $20. They own it.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple people did buy that. So, and that creates scarcity as well.
Yeah.
At a higher scale, it would be more impactful, but it's good practice for me. It's a good kind of practice run because next album we can do the same thing. It'll be, exponentially more.
And you can kind of gauge interest. Okay, how many people are willing to spend money on my music? Okay, if they're willing to spend, how much do they want to pay for this? And you can kind of get a good price through that. And it makes sense. I just talked to another artist recently, Malik Elijah, who put his music out for purchase a bit before release. And his point, I guess, or his message was a bit more wanting to get back to people I guess being a bit more invested in music or getting back start getting back to closer to the era when people would buy physical media as well, which I want to get into with this album. But because you before kind of Napster and the whole piracy age, music wasn't free, and you could not get it for free. You were getting CDs, vinyl, yada yada, and then once it was free with piracy, that kind of opened the floodgates, and people expected it to be free now, and so or or $15 a month for absolutely every song in the world.
Yeah.
And so vinyl, let's get into it. I just actually literally this morning watched the video of your vinyl unboxing for it and showing off the vinyl packaging. I'm just taking me into the design process of that, little details in it, anything like that.
Yeah, that was a miraculous serendipitous discovery. I saw an ad for the company Elastic Stage, and I was like, this is perfect timing. I was like, this can't be real. How can this be real? It seems too good to be true. And then I went through the process and I investigated. What I mean by too good to be true is it's too good to be true to order one vinyl. How is that possible? Because for anyone that doesn't know, vinyl and anything that you have to produce that's physical, which is part of the whole downfall of the music industry, costs money. You have to pay for it,
and a lot of it.
But you need to usually buy 100 of them, which is going to cost an artist $5,000 or something like that. So the ability to print on demand a vinyl record seemed not too good to be true, but it's not. So I was like, okay, this is real. I had the cover designed already, so I did that. I'm a graphic designer I'm a web designer by trade, but I know graphic design. I'm not an illustrator, but I can manipulate images. So I had the cover ready, and I happened to have professional photos ready as well from Jeff Handy, who's been doing some of the shots, some of the filming, and the press photo that I have now. So I had these professional photos ready, and it just fell into place. I just was like, okay, I'm gonna design this. I have the high quality artwork. I have the files are done. I know how to use the website. I know all of and creating the template is hard if you don't know graphic design, because you got to stay in the lines and you have to the certain DPI. So I sat down and I spent 3 hours just straight creating the packaging files for the vinyl, and then I ordered it 2 weeks ago, and it showed up yesterday, and I filmed it yesterday, being February 27th or February 28th or something, and there it was.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I think I've seen the exact ad for Elastic Stage that you're talking about, and I had the same reaction. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I've seen this trick before. Like, there's no way.
Now the catch is you don't make any money off of it. I mean, virtually. I'm not making money from
Yeah,
it. I think you make like 20%. I think I would make 20% from a sale.
yeah, but that's still better than nothing.
Yeah, and I would, I'm humble. I'm not even humble. I'm humble, but it's like should just be no expectation to make money as an artist until you hit a certain point. There just shouldn't be.
Yeah,
As much as that is awful spiritually and creatively, accepting it is important. It is important. So I haven't
yeah,
I haven't expected to make money from my art, but I will. I know that I will, and I know how I can, but I'm not expecting it until it starts just showing up.
yeah. It's the same thing with any like starting a business or a YouTube channel or things like that. I hear the advice all the time, like, are you okay going 2 years without making money, 5 years without like getting attention, things like that. And it's like that's really what you have to basically expect or plan for in that case. And it had the same thing, as a little shameless plug, the same reaction when I started doing like my own merch for music and things like that. I was like, you're telling me, because every company was like, give us your design, we'll send you like 100 of them, and then you deal with all the shipping and handling. And I didn't want to do all that. I didn't even know how to do all that. And so I found, and I was like, so you're telling me I just give you the design and like put up a website for it, and when people buy it, you do the designs, you do the shipping, you do the handling, everything, print on demand. And I was like, yeah, that's great. Let's do it.
Yeah, that's how I do my merch. That's how most people have to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And so, because I'm curious, when we work together, you have with a good amount of the production side of the song and like some ideas for it. Did you bring in outside producers for Hyperizing, or was it more self-produced?
Okay, wait. When I what's the you started that question off? I thought you were talking about our song.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. On our song, I know like you helped out with the production a good amount, and so like I'm wondering for Hyperizing, was it you producing or did you bring in other producers?
So, I mean, this cat's out the bag. Not that I'm hiding it, but like I'm just leasing the beats, right? They're
Got it.
just from the amazing producer Sem Spark. I think it's Sem. It's Siem, and I'm pretty sure I've heard it spoken as Sem Spark. But I just have always liked his beats for like a year or two, and when I decided, once I was like, okay, I'm gonna make music. I'm gonna make an album, a collection of songs. Who do I know? I'm like, oh my God, this guy that I remember from like a year ago. So
Yeah,
I didn't do anything to the beats except chop them and extend arrangement. I just changed the
yeah,
arrangement, but I did all the vocals, and I did all the vocals in the recording. And I'm not an engineer. I'm not trying to be an engineer, but I did what I can with what I have, and I think it
yeah,
came.
which is more than fair.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I like the back of the vinyl says executive producer Chad Rising, because I am the executive producer, right? I produced the whole thing, the whole project. I produced it, but the beats were produced by Sem Spark. The songs were written. The beat part was written by him. The lyrical melodic part was written by me. So we wrote the song together. But I recorded the vocals. I wrote the lyrics. Engineered the vocals. I
yeah,
mastered through BandLab the song. So yeah, Did that
Yeah,
answers the question?
yeah, exactly. But I get that whole with the whole mastering process. I mastered my latest song as in I just opened this second Logic project and put like the master file in there and changed it. And so yeah. Um and so I want to like get into a couple more like specific songs from the album because we've talked about social media extensively in the past each time you come on, and you have the song Killing Me on here, which is all about phone screens, all of that.
Yes.
And so from the last time you were on, have you changed or limited your like screen usage in any way?
So it's funny. Before I got the viral reel, I was down to like 2 hours a day screen time.
Mhm. Which is
When
great.
I was. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a journey to get there, and it's an addiction. It's an addiction. Um,
Yeah.
and everyone has their own version of it, but it's the same chemical. But it's like it's everyone's if everyone's got their own version. Um, what was the question? Oh, screen time. So then when Instagram started picking up, it went to like 8 hours a day. Oh God.
Which is how it always goes. Like once you get viral, you want to spend time on it and do it more and do it more.
I mean, I was talking to Tom, my partner. I was talking to him. I'm like, I'm very self-aware. I mean, I'm 100% self-aware. So I'm like, I know what I'm doing isn't healthy in the long run. I'm doing it right now because I want to, but maybe taking it from 2 to maybe 4 hours may have actually been productive. But taking it from 2 to 8 hours, 4 of those hours are just not productive, and I admit that. Like that's the
Yeah.
addiction. And we talked about this, how social media has two types of addicts: the creators who want that hit to confirm, and consumers who want that hit to fill up their entertainment or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So my hit is always the confirmation. I'm working on it, but that's why what I kept opening my phone for is like how many people followed me, how many people liked it, what else is happening, respond to people, sift through the hate comments, which is another thing that I'm learning how to do. It's not easy at all for anyone who is empathetic in any way. It's very difficult. So, but yeah, as far as Killing Me, I'm living it. I'm living it every day. That song is very much autobiographical, but also relatable.
Yeah, definitely. Because so many people have the same issue or the same experience.
And the irony is, I'm singing it to you through the screen. When those reels are on, there's Chad Rising singing about being on the screen. I understand the irony, but that's just the only place that we have. That's just how it's gonna go. That's just how it's gonna go.
Yeah. So I actually want to get into it now because you bring it up. Like I feel like in a good way, almost every time I open TikTok or Instagram and things like that, I see a new video of yours, and you have all this promotional content on these reels and everything. How do you just like get the content? Because not to derail or try to take the spotlight away from you, but I also have a song coming out soon, March 15th, that I just announced, and I'm like,
nice.
I like am struggling to find like a couple pieces of content or like a couple reels to put out, and it seems like you have just endless amounts. So take me into like the whole. It's gonna sound so weird, but the content strategy of promoting it and everything.
Yeah, this is where let's take it up a level. Let's take it higher in the consciousness, because it's not about. It's really getting myself, or it's one whoever it is. It's really the way to churn out content is to find out what you can do on at any given moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's learning. It's the biggest thing I think for me was, so also we got to keep in mind, I have had 15 years to hone this. I've worked really hard in the last year and then the last couple of years really hard on the craft, but I've always been able to move my body to the rhythm, which is dancing, as much as the people don't want to call it that. I'm not a professional dancer, like, so I don't even care. I've been dancing my whole life. I've been singing my whole adult life. I've been acting and performing my whole adult life. I've been performing on stages my whole life. Not professionally, but regularly. So, and I've been writing music since I was 18. Not every day, but I've never once said I'm going to stop. So, take all of that and roll it into what I'm about to say. And you have to get your confidence in your craft. You have to believe in what you're doing, and then and not just believe in it, but like almost to the point of blind faith. It is. It's like because once you have that, once you know how, okay, and now I'm going to restate this. The way to capture endless content is to figure out how to document the flow state. So the flow state is an endless well of inspiration, right? When you're creating whatever you're creating.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to document that. And then once you document it, chopping it up. It's really just, so I can like turn around right now and film myself singing my song 3 minutes. Right? And this is not a new concept, but that 3 minutes is 5 videos. And then the next 2 hours later, I could film myself singing again for 3 minutes, 5 videos.
Yeah.
I went down in Philly and I did the set of reel that went viral.
That's what I wanted to get into. Yeah.
Okay. So specifically so that one, well, it's funny because that set of videos and that viral one, yes, I had a professional photographer, videographer. I mean, he's great. He's new, right? He's young. You can see there's some quality that's not quite there, and I know he'll be okay with me saying this because he's young, but it doesn't matter, right? It went viral.
Yeah.
So like the combination of his skill, which he has, right? But he's not Steven Spielberg, but he's not claiming to be, and I can't afford that. So the combination of his hardware as well, like his camera and the lens, creates a different look. He has a light, like a production light. He has an assistant that comes with him to hold it. I have my speaker, which is audio sound, right? Tom is holding all my stuff. So there's like a mini, and then there's me performing. But I'm also directing.
Yeah.
I'm directing.
You have like a mini crew.
Yeah, it's a mini bare bones crew. So it's like, get it set up. Okay, start the song, start the camera. I perform for 3 minutes. Do it again. Perform for 3 minutes, take a rest. Perform for 3 minutes, take a rest. And we did that 5 times. And that was in an hour. That's it. Like, that's how you do it. But creating the song, learning the lyrics, learning the beat, moving, like the movement, creating all the stuff that goes into that 3 minutes, that's where the hard work comes in. But once you put all that together, you can recreate that 3 minutes wherever, whenever. And that's where the endless content's coming out.
But even like, regardless of quality of camera, things like that, I think to some degree it was like the concept of it almost that went viral. Like to some degree, quality goes out the window, and if you have a viral moment or a viral video, it's gonna go viral, regardless if it was like shot on an iPhone or like the biggest budget camera you can find and anything like that. And I think a big part of it also, which we can maybe get into, is like on top of the one especially viral video for them, that set of videos, one thing that I thought was hilarious and also helped play into the whole thing was all these other angles of like, I saw this guy filming in Philadelphia, blah, 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 whatever. Was that like planned, quote unquote, or like your thing, or was that just other people filming?
That was real.
Mm-hmm.
That was real. That was somebody on TikTok, which is not my main platform is Instagram. Somebody found me and said, "Hey, I saw you. I have a video of you. Can I send it to you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So he sent me that video. And I stitched it together, right? So video editing is just something you need to know. If you're not going to pay someone, you have to know how to do it.
Yeah.
Which I've actually gotten really good at in the last year. I knew how to do it, but now it's like really much quicker. But it took 1,000 videos, well, 500 videos to get that good at it.
Yeah. And same, not for short form, but same here. Like look at the first couple episodes of this podcast and look at now, it is way better, thankfully, and absolutely I can do it much faster than I did that back then.
Yeah, that's how everything good works, and that's what the sidebar, like what's wrong, not what's wrong, but that's a like, we've forgotten that good things take time, and that will never change. It's just the nature of existence that things that are of good quality take time, even though time is an illusion. But that's just a fact. And because of internet, because of technology, because of all of that, and many other factors, we've forgotten that. So it takes time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was not planned. That was a natural thing. I don't plan things like that. I mean, I don't, I'm trying to do this. I'm doing it just organically. Like there's no strategy. There's no gimmick. There's no catch. I already told you that.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. And then for some more like specific songs from the album, Sky Party is one I wanted to get into because
Oh God.
because it has such a like fun party time vibe and everything. And I know your whole message is like we need messages in music, and there's too many songs about like partying or some. So like, what's the thought process in? Was there meant to be a deeper meaning that I missed, or was it like a whole ironic commentary on like, yeah, this exactly is what I'm talking about?
Well, I think just to be specific, there are too many songs that encourage substance use and sex as part of partying.
Yeah.
I think partying has come so far in the last 20 or 30 years that partying means drug, sex,
Yeah,
alcohol, loud music.
it seems inherent or tied to it when it doesn't need to be. Yeah.
Celebration, right? That a party, by definition, is not the slang the internet version of what a partying is. So that is, it's not meant to be a joke. Like nothing I do is meant to be a joke, except the literal jokes within my lyrics. But Sky Party is so funny because that's a song that I kind of like hide behind because I wasn't sure how, like sonically, it's not where I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's what I did. So yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna write a party song without referencing drugs, sex, or alcohol. So that's what that is. It's just a good, clean fun. And at the very end, it's like we're throwing a party in the sky. It's like every chance that makes sense, I'm gonna raise people's consciousness just a little bit. Just like I'm reminding you that this song is happening and it feels good, but it feels good without a hangover. It feels good without strings. There's no, it's fifth dimension. It's just a little bit higher.
Feels good, and we could do it tomorrow as well, and we're not taking out a commission for the next 24 hours.
Exactly. Like a literal hangover, but also like there's no spiritual hangover. There's no guilt. There's no, it's free energy. You're not taken from anybody else. We're all just kind of trying to raise each other up.
Yeah.
Instead of competing with each other. I can party better than you. I can do it better than you. That person sucks at partying. He can't handle his liquor. Those are all things that are very common in party songs, those kind of mentalities. So it's like, let's all just come together
and have fun.
It's like my version of Kumbaya. Like, one is a very easy way to say it.
Yeah.
Because we need more of that.
Yeah. And the album in general, you mentioned, is like hyper pop, and I definitely hear that. And then like towards the end of the album, Earthplane has a pretty prominent like acoustic guitar. Angel also pretty acoustic. What was the decision making process of like almost like winding down the album with these two, or having these last two be more acoustic?
Well, I'm an arranger. It's just like the album is a journey. I put the songs in the places that they belong. Ups and downs. And I think Earthplane is probably my most in your face about the issues happening on Earth, and Angel is the most pop accessible song. That's it's the most accessible song, I think, and it's also the last song that I wrote for it. So yes, it was very intentional to kind of like build it up and wind it down, like I think a good album should.
Yeah. Awesome. And so I really, because I like to think of myself as being very into the lyrics, and I always look for music with like lyrics that actually mean something. It's like a whole playlist I have in my phone of just like songs that have a message that are actually saying something. And I feel like I'm also from that pretty good at like understanding songs, and I understood probably like 90 or 90+% of Hyperising. And I want to finish things up here with just some lyric breakdowns of like I either just want some clarification on what they mean, or I think I know what they mean and have one definition and want to see if that's correct.
Gladly, gladly.
So starting things off with what sounded basically like a riddle to me, and I had to like go back and listen back to it. And I was like, okay, hold on, let me break this down. Is from The Unbelievable. How do I speak the unspeakable when I know heaven is reachable? How do I keep the unkeepable when I believe in the unbelievable? What?
It's right there, right? It's not, that one's
Yeah.
actually not deep. Like it's
Yeah.
not like it's not a hidden, but I'm glad that it's making you think. It's 100% what it means, right? How or what does it go? As it, I believe we.
How do I speak the unspeakable? Got that one. When I know heaven is reachable, got that. And then how do I keep the unkeepable?
So it's like the
Yeah,
truth.
that's
How am I supposed to sit here with the truth of the existence, at least through my perspective? How am I supposed to sit here and not let it out? Like it's not, you can't keep the truth from getting out.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
That's the thing that the people in power have done. But it takes so much energy to keep the truth, to keep the power. That's why darkness and those people they run out of energy. They have to keep grabbing it because it's so much harder to keep something than just let it go. So that's why I'm like, I have all this information. How am I supposed to just keep it to myself?
Got it. Yeah. Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I think I remember I think it was the last time we talked, or one other time we talked, we brought up allegory of the cave and that whole thing, and so that makes a whole lot more sense to me now, and it's almost exactly that. Got it. So the next one I had was from Fat Lip. Ribbons in my eyes are like the bloodshot mirror of my life.
Ribbons in my ribbons on my eyes. What? Say it again.
Ribbons in my eyes are like the bloodshot mirror of my life.
So the ribbon is just the tears and the bloodshot eyes. It's like it's just an imagery of how the eyes can look and how the eyes. You can learn everything you need to know about somebody by looking in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And then in this case, this is talking about if you look into my eyes right now in that song, you could see just how sad, angry, frustrated, disturbed I would be, or whoever's singing it. Because that's another song like White Shirt. It's actually intentionally very similar to White Shirt. Just with like thoughts and experiences that I believe the collective is having and thinking, and I'm trying to relate to them. Because I've lived a couple of those moments myself. But yeah, that's what that means. It's if you looked into my eyes right now, you could see just how messed up I feel.
Got it. Yeah. And okay. And that also is big for me because I get the whole imagery thing. A couple of years ago, I was listening to like an interview with Dan Reynolds from Imagine Dragons, and he talks about like all the time he comes up with lyrics, and he's like, can I picture this in my head? Like I want it as vivid as possible. And like the lyric he was talking about is in Sharks by them, which is an amazing song, also with cool production tricks, which I love. but it's a something that comes before it, and then it goes butter to knife, and he's like, that's such a clear image. Like even just listening to it, saying it, like you immediately picture it in your head, like a knife going through butter and whatnot and things like that. So it's not just words; you immediately have a visual to it as well.
Yep, that imagery is something I've worked on a lot, especially with this album. Imagery is how the best songs come to life. Some of them.
Hmm. Yeah. And so the last lyric I wanted to ask about was actually from Angel, which we brought up a bit. It's more, I guess, less lyrical and still a bit lyrical, but less lyrical and just like decision making. Life's turquoise and crimson. What made you pick these colors, or what do these colors mean?
It means life's good and bad. It means the yin
Uh,
and the yang. It means the highs and the lows. That's what it means. The cool and hot.
yeah.
The duality of life. That's what
Hmm.
it means. Life's good and bad, but at least you are alive.
Hmm.
It's a very that's like I didn't that that's a very common theme.
Yeah.
So I just
Yeah.
grabbed it and I made my own version.
Yeah. Exactly. That like um my favorite band, 21 Pilots, one of their like refrains in a song is just "Stay alive." Stay alive. Like it's so simple.
Like on Earth Plane, all I'm
And
trying to do is keep this body alive. Like leave me alone.
yeah,
Like can't you tell I'm just trying to stay alive?
yeah. And I think another big thing is just sharing music with friends, which I'm hopefully is happening through your reels, the music itself, everything, and just sharing it. Because I like 20, I don't think actually anymore that it's their Instagram bio, but for a while their Instagram bio was just shoot, what was it? I think it was stay alive. Oh God, stay alive, live long, pass on these songs or something like that. Um, and like you get that whole thing because the singer of 21 Pilots, Tyler Joseph, was talking about it and like in interviews and I think at a concert too. Like he's raising his own kids, his own family now also, and he's performing at these concerts where he sees like fans that kind of grew up listening to them and maybe they're a bit older now, and then they go to a show and those fans are like bringing their kids to the shows now and things like that. And like multi-generational music or just sharing music with friends and family in general is so important.
Yep, it is.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, those are all the questions I had prepared for Hyperizing, but if there's anything else more you want to get into with the album in general, anything like that, just let me know.
No. I mean, we can leave it there.
Awesome.
That
I
was
will,
plenty, and I appreciate it.
yeah, let's leave it there. This should come out on March 12th when Hyperizing comes out. So go stream Hyperizing, buy the vinyl if you want. Check out Chad Rising absolutely everywhere, it feels like. And thank you so much for coming back on.
Thanks, Heroek.